What's going on, Philly? Sorry about that. I was muted. Back for another edition of Drunk on Broad. I am your host, Rich Conroy, joined alongside always by two co-hosts, Sir Don Juan and Big Nick Nasty, a.k.a. Nick the Daddy. What is going on, boys?
Not too much. What's going on?
Just
sun's trying upstairs, so I got to put the headphones on.
Gotcha.
Got to drown that out.
I mean,
always something.
I think there's a decent amount of stuff to talk about in terms of being able to look forward to the rest of the playoffs and see what the Sixers got in play, and full house next tomorrow night, going to be 100%. I think that place is going to be rocking. I saw a funny tweet as soon as the game ended. They're like, full capacity of Wednesday night, Sixers by 1 million.
Yeah, that's all we need. I just love all these dudes just running on the court and being assholes. Like, this is just insane. I've never seen this. God. I know they're attention whores, but I'm just like, every single game in every series now is going to have something going on because people are just being annoying. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing, the stupidity. Like, I didn't even realize until I saw the other angle of that guy from the Wizards that he was on the court for a good 2 seconds before he got tackled. And I was like, he ran down the steps. I was like, ooh, guys got
ran down mid court, went and tapped, did the run down, tap the backboard. Yeah. I'm like, it's a pretty ballsy move to just show people how high you can jump.
Yeah, it's like, all right, be great.
You realize how much easier it is to get on the court than it is like people get into baseball fields all the time, but you got to hop, you got to find where to get down, then you got to jump down the fence. Like, the basketball court dude just ran onto the court.
It was ballsy. It was super ballsy.
I know, like the middle of a possession and everything.
Chris, Adam,
yeah.
Hello, let's go Sixers. What's up? Oh man, last night. Oh, do we have to get into it? Oof.
Had a little hold your breath moment.
It's not even the fact. I get Ben can't make free throws, but when you're playing 5 against 8, those refs were atrocious last night.
We were talking about this a little bit last night on Chip Show about my biggest objective with all of this is the inconsistency. Just be consistent. But it was different on one end of the floor than it was on the other. It was different for the Wizards. There were calls to be completely unbiased. There were calls that they missed on the Wizards end, on both the offensive, defensive end. But it's just the inconsistency. They were calling fouls in the first quarter that they weren't in the fourth. They were calling stuff in the fourth that they weren't in the first. It's just stay in your lane, pick a lane, and just operate that way throughout the end of the game.
They were trash on every aspect of the game. There was the third foul that was called on Ben Simmons was terrible. And then the one that he picked up in 5 seconds into the second half was he didn't even touch him. The Danny Green steal that, thank God, Doc overturned. Right. Dude, what are you watching? And then Bradley Beal tackled whatchamacallit as he's going for a loose ball, and there's no foul. I'm like, okay, let's be inconsistent. Let's just keep doing this.
Right.
Nick, what do you think?
I mean, the refs, I feel like we have this conversation every year. It's annoying when you feel like, ultimately if Joe plays, they still win that game. But
they win by 1 million.
Yeah, you feel like the refs actually did affect the outcome of the game, which is what you never want. Like I said it before, Rich, the best umpires, best referees in the game are the ones you don't notice. They make the calls they're supposed to make, and then just let them go. Jason Kelce wishes.
Prince was.
I think I'm bigger than Jason Kelce too. He's like an undersized lineman.
You are. Prince was going to come on tonight, but his daughter wound up giving him something that she picked up from school. Those little cesspools of children that we have. So he was going to be our first guest to come on, but we're going to get him on next time, and we'll shoot the shit and have some fun.
Nice.
But I just can't believe Ben Simmons, being a professional athlete, still can't hit free throws. I understand. But, dude, you have to shoot better than 40%. We need you to be 70, 75. And then you will be, in my eyes, elite. in my eyes, because a lot of people don't want to give him that status and they don't want to give him that title, which I completely understand because he doesn't have the offensive output. But the other things that guy does, which we talk about every week, this is why it's becoming very redundant when we are talking about the Sixers, because it's the same shit. Ben's got to hit free throws. He's locked down. Joe needs to stay healthy. The refs suck. Like, what? Are we missing anything else, gentlemen? No. Are we missing anything else?
No, we're not. And I think to me, that's like, I tried to today look at that situation from both angles. Like, I heard a couple of conversations around, did Doc Rivers get out-coached in that situation? Should he have taken Ben Simmons off the floor for that 45 seconds worth of time where, you put Maxey on the floor and, you take that strategy away from the Wizards? But then I also thought about it from a different side where I'm like, all right, Ben's got to man up, and I'd rather him learn the struggles in a series like this so that when he gets in those pressure moments within the series against the Nets or the Bucks, that they have the ability to be able to get production out of him. So I'm trying to see it from both sides. Like I felt like there were benefits from both sides of that argument.
Yeah, and as Prince says, you don't take Ben off the court. He's a corner. I'm not taking him off the court. I know some people were putting out there that you keep. I'm sorry. I'm not taking Ben off the court. I'm not playing at a disadvantage because he can't hit free throws. I mean, that's already a disadvantage, granted, but the presence of Ben not being out there is also putting your team at a disadvantage. So you take the good with the bad. He's going to lock somebody down. He was in foul trouble. We need him out there, especially if Joe's not playing. I'm not putting Maxey in that situation, even if he was the one who was hot last night. But it was just suspect. Nick, what do you got before we bring on our first guest?
I mean, yeah, Ben can't come out of the game because he helps you in so many other areas. It's literally ridiculous. And like you said, you didn't take Shaq out. You gotta, like Don said, you have to have Ben step up to the plate there. And if Doc takes him out there, what message does this send to Ben? What does that send to the franchise? Media goes crazy with that. Yeah. Oh, he took Ben Simmons out because he can't hit free throws in a big game. It's not worth it. Leave him in the game. It's game 4 in a 3-0 series against the Wizards, bro. Not worried about it. Right. And ultimately he knows he's got to make these free throws. I get it. He probably, and you know what, Rich, just like you said, you got to shoot 70%. He probably shoots 70% in practice. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
I wouldn't doubt it. But so this is going to be fun because at the time we have some guests piling in. I was going to bring them on individually, but fuck it. Let's bring them all in together. Let's have a nice meet and greet and a nice hodgepodge. So let's bring them in. First, we got Mike from the Fired Up Podcast. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
No, man. Thanks for coming on. We're going to bring on your co-host right now. Dom, what's going on, brother? And then we're going to bring on our boy, Scotty Talk. Scotty, what's going on, man?
What's up,
Gentlemen. How are we doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
When you have to keep talking about the redundancy of Sixers playoff and Scotty knows. You guys know. It's fun having a podcast when there's only one team performing.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
You got to trying to find things to come up with every week. It's not that easy, but we have fun. So, gentlemen, what's going on?
Not much. Not much. I appreciate you guys doing this. Trying to spread the word.
Man. Happy to have you guys on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I don't know kind of where you guys wanted me to take it.
Dude, wherever the fuck you want to take it. I don't care. Take it wherever you want to go. Because then we have questions for Scotty. So you guys, time to shine. So what got you in the podcast? What got you into doing the Philly Sports Day? That's what I want.
Okay, well, about 3 or 4 years ago, I started my own podcast, strictly Flyers related. I'm a big hockey guy. That's kind of my Yeah, that's kind of my first go-to. So that didn't work out after having 2 kids. I just didn't have time for it. So I talked to Dom, my co-host. You see him right there. We talked to him about starting our own maybe a couple months ago. I was just tired of the WIP and 97.5 and it's not good. It's just not
everybody's
good.
Everybody's head.
This is not good. So we just kind of wanted to create something different. That's kind of where we started.
Right, dude, I hear you. So you and Dom like best friends in like real life, or you met the schmuck and you're like, let's do this?
No, okay. Yeah, no, we're cousins, so we've known each other our whole lives. So yeah,
nice.
So that helps, right?
And I stumbled on your stuff just on social media, and the first time I listened to it, it reminded me a lot of our conversations.
Right, that's it.
And it's genuine, unique takes on, and I gotta tell you, your level of knowledge hockey wise is on point, man. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I started playing the hockey when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So I've basically just studied the game of hockey pretty much my whole life. So that's kind of where that started.
I just had a knuckle puck. That's all. I learned from Russ Tyler. Russ Tyler taught me the knuckle puck, and I took it to my back room and took it to the driveway. Scotty, what's going on, dude? What's up, man?
Hey, man. Finally, nice to finally put the faces to the Twitter, man. I know we've been going back and forth for a couple weeks, trying to get together. Just want to say, thank you guys for always tagging me in those posts. I'm with you guys. Forget the radio, forget 97.5, 94.1. Forget it. We're not here to grab, headlines or clickbaiting, none of that stuff. So I appreciate all you guys' work, and thanks for having me on. Obviously, we're in the heart of the Sixers season here, the NBA season. You guys know I cover the NBA pretty closely. I cover the whole NBA. I try to, at least. Obviously, I show a little bit of favoritism there. But, yeah, man, I just love covering the Sixers. Also love covering the Eagles, a lot of the NFL as well. And I'm a 4 for 4, 5 for 5 guy, just like I hope all of you are. So,
absolutely.
Glad
you're throwing the wings in that, right? You're throwing wings lacrosse. Is that your 5 for 5? So you're throwing in there.
I was thrown in the union, man. I'm trying to
throw it in the union. No, that makes you a 6 for 6. And if you guys remember,
6 for 6, then
if you want to remember and you want to go 7 for 7, you got to go the Philadelphia Bulldogs when they had the roller hockey team back in the day. Do you remember the Philadelphia Bulldogs?
Roller hockey, dude. I would have loved to have been at one of those.
My uncle was a cheap prick. My Uncle Joe. Nick will tell you. God rest his soul. He's dead, but he's still a cheap prick even in death.
All right,
but we love him. He took us to, we had glass seats to this roller hockey of Philadelphia Bulldogs, and all I remember is going to drink Moosehead chocolate milk. They were just giving it away free, and there was only us in the stands. It was an amazing thing. It was an amazing time. But Scotty, you just had a live show, man. How was the live show down at Xfinity?
It was awesome. You guys may have caught a little bit of it. We were hosting our live show right outside of Xfinity Live, right in that gate to go into Wells Fargo Center as well. So it was just a great, vibe just to be out there. Obviously be with some of my co-hosts, a lot of the guys that I work with a lot. Finally meeting them in person. You guys know this stuff. I started last year, so I wasn't in the podcast game before, where people were actually allowed to meet up and actually have social gatherings. So I'm finally getting out, trying to do these live shows together. Have that free flowing conversation, and hopefully, give a light at the end of the tunnel, right? of people getting together and just having a good time, having a good convo. And we were able to do that out there. Obviously not the result we wanted last night, but we had a lot of things that went into that game. So I'm sure you guys have already gotten into it a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Dom, let's hit you up, man. I heard you talk for 2 seconds. Give you some run. What happened last night, dude? What happened last night? What happened?
Oh man, obviously Embiid gone down. That's a killer. I think they started. They started off pretty hot. You know what I mean? They're rolling with him in there, and then once he goes down, the whole thing just kind of went down. Well,
it was kind of like almost like a vacuum. Like Embiid went out, and it sucked the life out of everybody. And they just in that moment never really fully transitioned until the middle to the end of the fourth quarter, or the end of the third quarter into the fourth quarter.
Right.
Scotty, how do you handle that 3 to 2 minute exchange with Ben, where Ben's getting fouled? Because right before you were on, we were talking about like, did Doc Rivers get outcoached? But there is value in Ben being on the floor and learning that in a series that, let's be honest, inevitably you're going to win.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head there. At the end of the day, I had said this going into that game. It's so ironic because before the game on my NBA show, literally I had said let's take care of this free throw thing before it turns into something. And last night it turned into something. Obviously, the first game he was 0 for 6 or something like that. And then it turned into 0 for 9 after 3 games, I believe. And last night, I think he missed like the first couple again, and it even got up to like 0 for 11 or something like that. Once you got up to that, once you got up to that 10th missed free throw, I feel like that's a confidence killer. Like if you're sitting in the gym and you can't make 1 out of 10 free throws, think about that. Us sitting in the gym can't make 1 free throw, right? Like I feel like I can make a free throw out of 10. And so it was just demoralizing for him. It turned into something last night, and it was embarrassing for him. You know what I mean? When you have somebody fouling you on purpose to send you to the line, that is completely embarrassing. Because they're obviously doubting a significant part of your game, and I thought Doc handled it the right way. You can't take him out there. It would destroy him. It would destroy the Philadelphia media, the national media. So for everybody that's saying they would have taken him out, I get it. Maybe it is the smartest thing in a game against Brooklyn, like a game 6 against Brooklyn when you're trying to close out a series, but when you're up, like you said, Don, you're up 3-0 on this Wizards team. They're not going to beat you the next game. And I just wanted to throw in there before I let you guys kind of continue on there. You mentioned it. The Joel Embiid injury was life-sucking. Like it drained the life out of this team. And I don't think it was, they can't win without Embiid. I thought it was more just our star is down. What's wrong with him right now? Their mind was elsewhere. They're worried about their MVP. And you saw it. I even, noticed it in Tobias. He looked kind of shook.
That's what I was going to ask Mike of what he thought, because that was the thing that pissed me off. Because there was a stretch there with Tobias playing real bad basketball. Got blocked 4 times and they got stripped. So, Mike, this is my question to you. What do you think was going through Tobias's head? Because I like that, Scotty, because I was thinking the same. That was the most disappointing thing for me was that stretch where they were playing such bad basketball and 4 possessions in a row. Tobias looked terrible. So, Mike, what do you have for me there, bud?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably one of those things where you lose your guy, right? You lose your star. I mean, Embiid's the life, soul, the heart of this whole entire team, right? He's kind of what makes it go. I just not hitting shots, man. That's kind of what it boils down to. But I wanted to ask, should we? And maybe you guys talked about it already. Should we put any sort of stock into Embiid being doubtful for the next game because of what they're calling sore knee? Like, do you think that's kind of? Do you think he should be playing? Or I mean, there might be more to the injury. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. What do you guys think?
I mean, for me, I think it's there is some gamesmanship in this.
Yeah,
I feel like with 2 days to prepare, I feel like they feel like, I mean, they were in that game. They were tied under 2 minutes with not having him for the better part of 3.5 quarters. So I think with 2 days to prepare, I think there is some gamesmanship in saying like, we can probably beat this Wizards team without him and get him another two extra days of rest before we have, I don't know, Scott, when's that next series start? Like maybe like get him 7-8 straight days of rest.
That's the first thing I said when he went down last night was if they could pull this out and he could get as much rest as possible, I think that would have been the best thing possible. But
Nick, what was the thing that stuck out to you? Because there's one word that stuck out to me that scared me. So one word that I read that stuck out to me that scared me. So I want to know if you picked up what they said about his injury status besides being doubtful. Yeah, besides his knee.
I actually was just hold on. Let me.
I'm just going to say mine, but I'm going to go back to you. Swelling. I don't like the fact when they, okay, granted it's hurt, but if you can't get the swelling to go down, there's something else going on there. And that's what worries me. And I thought, Nick, you would have that.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the way he is, man. He's always going to have these problems. That's just he's been that type of player since he came in the league, right? That's why he was the number 3 pick, because of these injuries. I think that ultimately I want to win the series next game. I think that even if we don't play him and Doc prepares and you start Dwight, you should still beat this team. I'm not really worried about it. Get him some extra rest. And then, if something crazy happens and you have to put him in game 6 to close it out, I mean, you can, but is him being hurt, him taking the chance of him being more injured worth, losing an extra game to the Wizards? No, I'd rather win in 6 than win in 5 and have him play and have it be, a tough game, have him exert a lot of energy, put a lot of pressure on that knee. But I think the thing with Tobias was he just pressed. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like he saw Embiid went out and he said, you know what, I got to step up because I know Ben's not going to score 40. I know Ben's not going to give me 30. So I need to step up. And he just was in his head a little bit. I think he actually had a worse game than Ben yesterday.
I'm going to say the same. Scotty, go ahead, bud.
No, I completely agree with what he just said about Tobias. You mentioned it, Rich. Just totally disappointing to see him, come out. And what really bothered me about it was that Rui Hachimura was really outplaying him. And that was just throwing me for a total spin because he's a decent player, right?
But he's not Tobias.
He should not be dunking in Tobias's face and screaming.
No.
That was also embarrassing. But as far as the Embiid injury, first glance, I saw him get up. I was like, oh, he's okay, right? It's just his butt. He hit his butt on his tailbone on the ground. But as soon as they threw in the knee, that's what kind of threw me for a spin because he wasn't holding his knee at all. So then to follow up on the report today, I did read an article, apparently it's like they had to get some type of status out before 5 p.m. today. So they threw the doubtful out there. But in reality, they still have further examining to do. Now, the one good thing that I will say is that usually when it is a tear or any type of, ligament injury, they usually see that right away. That would have probably been reported by afternoon. So the very worst, the word that kind of scared me was for the future in the playoffs. How far down the road are we thinking as far as when he's coming back? Because they were basically saying long-term playoff hopes. Embiid is good, don't worry. But how long-term are we talking? Because I don't know about you guys, but I think the Hawks are a very tough matchup without Embiid. I think that
without
Embiid, yes. With Embiid,
yes.
No. I wouldn't say that we would lose, but it would be a tough series.
But Scotty, let's be honest. Tobias got shots blocked by Ish Smith.
Yeah,
I mean, Ish Smith is an original member of the process.
Got a lot of respect.
So
we traded him and then traded back for him.
He's a process OG. So, yeah. but for me, I was really surprised. He looked like he kind of turtled up, which was really disappointing considering how he played in that first game when Embiid gets in foul trouble and he just steps up and just is tearing through people.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for coming on. It's been fun. We have to do this again. Please, Mike and Dom, tell us about your podcast. Please plug it. We're gonna plug it after too. Just tell us the day when you're running. Let us know. What do you got?
Yeah, so we record every Monday night and then we release Tuesdays at midnight. So every Tuesday it'll be out anywhere you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We don't really use Instagram that much, but at Fired Up Podcast, you can find us over there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Hey, thanks for doing this.
Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll get back. We'll get together soon. We'll try to do something. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have you guys on.
That'd be perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Right.
Scotty, Scotty, give us your plug, bro. Give us your plug.
Of course. Of course, guys. Thank you once again for having me on here. You guys are awesome. We definitely got to do this again. Maybe even, a little bit of a full-time collab. I'd love to talk deep with you guys. But where you can find me on Twitter at Scotty Drown. That's going to be my handle on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find the sports page at ST Philly Sports 1. That's going to be on Twitter and Instagram as well. Be sure to go subscribe to DSM Media on YouTube. We are doing a giveaway for every subscriber. We're going to give a due date. Obviously, we'll pick a winner at some point. But get in there, subscribe. We'll get you in a raffle for a Joel Embiid City Edition T-shirt. It's pretty awesome. But once again, guys, thank you so much for having me on, and keep doing your thing, guys. It's awesome of you.
Scotty, don't sell yourself short. You got work with the Painted Lines. You got Turf Talk. You got a bunch of stuff going on,
man.
Don't sell yourself short. You got a lot of work going on, man.
I got you. I can plug it all if you guys want me to.
Just keep going. Keep going.
Lines. Hey, I'm co-hosting with my man Dylan Davis on the Daily Dose. You can catch me on the Painted Lines. You can also catch me on Heat Ratio Sports with Scotty Talks NBA Mondays. That is filmed every Sunday evening and out Monday morning. So be sure to check out all my stuff, guys. I appreciate all of it.
Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to help us out.
No problem, guys.
Have a good night,
Scotty. Be good,
man.
dude.
Take care. Thank you.
Man, good dudes brought on. We got some good dudes we brought on, man. And now we're going to bring on another dude to talk some music, talk some sports. It's going to be a good time. What's going on, brother? Mr. Jason, what is up, dude? What's up? Sports and Metal podcast in the house. What's going on, dude?
This is absolutely amazing. Like I actually was telling Phil from the All About the Bird show that we should kind of do something like this, like all together, and you guys just brought it out. So it's like amazing that I really appreciate you having me on, and I really just enjoyed, meeting the guys before me, just watching the show for from the behind the scenes, and it's just it's so cool what you guys are doing, man. You guys are really taking off, and I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you, bro. Dude, I listen to your show, man. I love the fact I get the sports and then I get the metal talk. Like anytime you throw in Dio with the Phillies, I'm about it, man. I'm about it. I thought that was great because I was sending you some DMs and I'm like, dude, this show's good, man. I enjoyed this shit, man. Like one thing, me and Nick will go back and forth with music and sports all fucking day long. It doesn't matter whether it's rap, hardcore rock, death. Like me and Nick know it all. So me and him go back and forth, and then listening to your podcast and you bringing the sports and the metal aspect. Love it, dude. Love it. Love it. Reminds me of smoking L's with Nick downstairs at his house back in the day when we were in high school. That's what it reminds me of. Just listening to Atreyu and just fucking rocking out. Always a good time. So what's going on, man?
Dude, I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I mean, I guess let me start out by explaining what the show is and how it came about, I guess. So I've been blogging since probably 2010. I started on WordPress, just did a little blog, and didn't get a lot of traction doing that. And then a couple buddies of mine, they own Philly Rock Radio, which is a internet radio show in Philly, and they actually, Kevin and Johnny, they have a show on Thursday nights. So they asked me to start writing for their site. So I kind of did sports and metal because I'm a sports guy, but obviously I was always a music guy. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to combine it. And I figured, it would be good to kind of bring something different because, you're on Twitter and you see so many, let's just say Eagles sites and Philly, and there's just so many sites. It's like a ton of competition. So I kind of figured doing something with both angles, I could kind of hit a niche and, try to provide something different. And as far as the podcast, what happened was I basically, obviously, like I said, I was doing the blog, and I was telling my best friend, my friend Aaron, we basically known each other since we were 4. I mean, his mom babysat me, my mom babysat him. I mean, pretty much almost from like birth, we've been best friends. And I was telling him, I'm like, man, we should start a podcast. But it was always about time, because I work retail. I manage a supermarket, so it's like I'm always working. It was just hard to come up with time. But then I was like, you know what? This can't be that hard. No. So I'm like, literally, June 11th will be our 1-year anniversary.
Nice.
We've been, doing this, and I never realized like how, dude, it's just fun. Yeah. And everybody that does it, it's like almost like an addiction. Like once you start doing it, you just want to go on other shows. Like I actually enjoy doing this better than doing my own show.
It is so much better being a guest. It's so much better being a guest.
Less stress and less, there's not as much pressure.
Unless it's our show, because Don's the only one who prepares. Don's like, I'll send you guys my notes. And I'm like, thanks, Don. I'm hosting, but yeah, just give me your notes. We're going to go off what you want to do. Let's do it.
Like we always talk about, like, it really doesn't ever matter how many people are watching or how many people are like, it's about the conversation. And like for me, like I'm in the same boat. We all have full-time jobs. We all have jobs where we're doing something else. And this is just like, this is the fun place where I can talk about sports with someone other than my father-in-law.
Yeah.
So it becomes it's a good place for all the useless sports stuff that is just sitting up here that I always just think about to myself. So, but anytime I listen to your show, I always have flashbacks of high school, like weightlifting in high school. With like, because a lot of the content that you guys were talking about is all stuff that we used to, it was stuff that was playing on repeat on a CD player in the corner, propped up so that the CD doesn't skip.
Dude, it's nostalgia.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
Honest to God, like, I mean, I'm 45. I'll be 45 this month, actually. I'm best friend, he's 45. So it's like we grew up in the 80s. That was like our thing. So obviously that's
me and Nick barely made the 80s. High five.
That's how I became a metalhead, you know what I mean?
We barely made it.
Hey, Rich.
Still did though.
I didn't get to say it, but congrats too, by the way, on your marriage.
Oh, thanks. You got married right here.
I didn't even know. That's amazing.
You got married right here. It's right here, right in front of the sign. It's beautiful.
That is amazing that you know. So congrats. And Don, congrats to you on your Teacher of the Year again. I mean, I know I tell you all the time.
Yeah, that whole thing we talked about was just a really wild ride where we're now we're in the process. We've spent the last kind of 8 weeks throughout that process now, meeting with groups, planning, trying to figure out how that money gets allocated so that it can have the most impact without having things that have to be like, we're trying to go away from just implementing the technology and really talking about how do we use that money to really create something that would be, the language that we're using is like a legacy project, something that would outlast me, not just something that's a computer that's going to be outdated in 5 years.
Sure.
So, Don was telling me that he used $20,000 to upgrade the library, but then they had to fire the librarian. So they actually got like $60,000 from it. So Don's just living large. But for librarians, he's gone, dude. He's gone.
He's going to put that money. He's going to allocate that money into the podcast. That's what he told me.
Going to update,
incorporate us into North. Hey, if you want me to be a teacher, me and Nick will come up part time. We'll teach. Sure. We'll teach what is a podcast, and just got to tell the kids I'm a little rough around the edges with the cursing.
What's a library?
Never seen one. I don't think I've ever been step foot in one.
Oh man!
But let's get down to it since you're wearing the you're rocking the Philly stuff.
Oh.
How you feeling about that guy named Aaron Nola? Because me and Nick had this conversation. The best thing is, like you said, you and your buddy and Don talks to his stepdad. Me and Nick are in like 5 separate group chats, so we talk about sports pretty much all day long. And it's always Nick posts this to this one, this one, this one. So we have like 40 different opinions on it. So what do you think? What's up with your boy Aaron Nola?
Well, first of all, I guess you know where I'm at as far as my Phillies frustration level, because you saw my tweet, right, that went viral.
Yeah.
It actually has like 700 likes now. I'm like shocked. But I basically, what I do with tweets, when I'm mad, I just tweet and I say what's on my mind. So I am not a happy camper right now, because honest to God, I went on All About the Birds podcast at the beginning of the year, and basically it was actually Chip's podcast, and I said that the Phillies were not only going to do well, that they were actually going to win the division. And then I also had the Aaron Nola debate with Chip, and I'm not looking too good right now, let's just say.
Listen, the show that we did, the preview show that we did right before the season started, I mean, we were all talking about the fact that, like, you know, liking what they did to rebuild the bullpen, bringing in new arms that throw heat. Like, we talked about all that, but I think when we talked about it, we knew that there was this pendulum that could swing, that you could get the really good end of some of these players, or you could get the not productive end. And I feel like on almost every guy, you're getting the not productive end, but they're still in this false sense of reality because the division also sucks, and they're not that far out of first place. But there are so many pieces that are missing that you couldn't possibly plug every hole, but you also don't have the pieces to plug the hole because their farm system sucks, because they can't draft. Like, it's just this.
It's a bad circle. It's a circle. It's not a triangle that has parts and the ends. No, it's a circle. Keeps going.
Well, it's a vicious cycle. And you know what? It started with, unfortunately, with Matt Klentak, who's basically ruined this team. And unfortunately, you know, I think when they signed Harper, you know, they did it with good intention. I really do believe that. I firmly believe that John Middleton does want to win. I don't think he's like just some asshole owner that, you know, is just not invested in wanting to win.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that this team is so bad, and it has so many holes, like Don just said. And not only does that have holes, it doesn't have any way to get better, because the only way you really can fix this team right now, and I hate to say it, but Phil said it on his, on Twitter. I've said it. You guys have all said it. The only way to fix it is to blow it up. I hate to say it, but there is no quick fix, because you can keep signing free agents. You're not going to go anywhere, because you're not going to compete with the Braves. You're not going to compete with the Mets. I mean, look at Jake DeGrom, dude. Jake DeGrom right now, what he's doing is absolutely mind-boggling. The guy, I know he was a late bloomer. He's not like a guy, like he didn't come out at 22 and do this. I mean, we're talking about a guy that really bloomed right around 28. He's now 32, but look what he's done. I mean, he has a .71 ERA right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think anybody. I mean, I'm not a Mets fan, but my best friend Aaron, he's a Mets fan, so he's loving this right now. But I got to be honest, I don't think the national media talks enough about Jake DeGrom. Like, that guy's just ridiculous, and he's batting like 500.
Yeah, 458. Nick, right, so I want to get Nick's opinion first, because I haven't heard Nick talk.
No, that's fine. Sorry,
you're fine. Nick. You're fine. I haven't heard Nick talk in a few minutes. So I want to hear Nick. Nick, so me and you will go back and forth all the time over the Nola. I'm sorry. I'm still Nola's the ace of this team. I'm still that. I don't care. He's pitching bad. He's still the ace of this team. Nick, who's your ace, and what else do you have to say about this conversation?
Well, numbers don't lie, and Zach Wheeler's the ace of the staff. That's all I'm going to say. I love Nola. I like Nola, but Wheeler has been dominant. He's top 5 in ERA. He's top 5, or not top 5 in ERA, but he's top 10 in ERA, top 5 in strikeouts. I mean, for a Phillies pitcher to have that since Roy Halladay, we haven't had that, right? So yeah. I'll take it. The team itself, we've talked about, you guys have all said it, right? The farm system stinks. The roster stinks, really. They have no depth. They have an issue with being injured all at the same time. They have an issue with putting the bat on the ball. They strike out.
I believe it's called hitting.
They strike out with free agent signings. They strike out in the batter's box. They strike out with draft and development. They strike out with general managers being hired. They struck out with the manager now. I don't think that he's really that bad of a manager, but you need to, when your team is this injured and playing this bad, you need to be able to manage your way to some wins. He's not doing that. You have to be able to steal some wins by being a good manager, by playing small ball one game or making the right switch at the right time, or, like just being a little bit more like, hey, who do we have in AAA right now or AA that looked good, that maybe wants to come up and give me 4 or 5 innings in a start? I don't want to start Chase Anderson. I don't want to start Matt Moore. I don't want to start Vince Velasquez. Who do we have, right? They're not doing any of that, right? Why? I don't know. There's a lot of that service time argument is crap. I hate it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to. So, like, Rich, I remember we talked about it before when we were talking. It was even before. This might have been like way back before the season started. We were talking about who they should go out and sign. This was before they added Matt Moore, before they added Chase Anderson. I said, I like that kid Taijuan Walker from the Mariners. Like, he's young. He's going to be cheap. He's coming off injury prone. What is he right now? He's 5th in the major leagues in ERA for the Mets.
He's dirty.
And he was cheap because he's coming off an injury.
Corey Kluber was cheap. Everybody this year was cheap. You literally could have spent $10 million and got a top pitcher in baseball, or $8 million or $4 million. But we signed Matt Moore and Chase Anderson, who didn't even pitch in the league last year.
They made it clear that they were not going to go over the luxury tax.
Well, then you're not going to win.
That clear. And the issue is, if you're going to be in this market in Philadelphia and you're not going to spend the money when you're telling me that you're going to spend stupid money and you want to win, go fuck yourself.
Dude,
because you're a liar. You're a liar, and you're telling us one thing, but your actions show the other.
Right.
You're telling me we're going to go get Bryce Harper, and then they were trying to get Manny Machado too, right? They were trying to sign both of them. Then they were talking about, Garrett Cole's going to be available. Let's go get him. Oh, we're going to get Patrick Corbin. I'm glad we didn't get Patrick Corbin. He stinks, by the way.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
so okay, you go and get Zach Wheeler. I love that. I love that signing. He doesn't have a lot of miles on his arm. He's dealt with some stupid minor injuries. With the Mets, he's going to get lost in that rotation anyway. Let's go get him. Let's spend some money. But then they neglect the most important, the second or third most important position on the field behind it. It's catcher, shortstop, center fielder. You don't have a center fielder.
You don't have a left fielder.
But I'm saying, like,
I'm just letting you know, like, I'm going down the line. You don't have center field, and you don't have left field.
Sure, and they have zero. Defensively wise, they have a below average right fielder too.
Yeah.
So what do they have? They don't have any plus defenders on the field except for behind the plate. That's it.
Right.
I believe we lead the league.
Reese is okay, but you have Real Muto. Everybody else is average at best.
Yeah, but Bohm can't play third. Like, now you're seeing that Bohm actually cannot play third. So me and Don talked about this last week. So Bohm can't play third. Reese can't play the outfield. What do you do?
Trade Reese.
They're all pace right now.
All right, hold on. Jason, you go first. You go first. Go ahead.
Well, no, they're on pace right now. If they continue this the way that they are playing defense, they could set a record for the most errors in a major league season. That's how bad they are right now. Overall defense, and that's not even just Bohm. That's the whole team. But I agree. I think they have 2 defensive liabilities: Bohm and Hoskins. They're both liabilities.
Yeah.
So.
And we talked about this on Rich and I talked about this last week, that like there are even a number of plays that could have been errors.
Yeah, but they just gave base hits. They just awarded base hits.
Not for some.
It's so pathetic.
Well, the problem is it's not even just the errors with Bohm. He's making mental errors, meaning not just the actual physical errors. He's making a lot of mental mistakes on the daily. So to me, and this was part of my tweet, I said there's no accountability on this team. Why is Bohm not sitting? I'm not saying to send him to the minors, because I don't think that's going to do any good either. But I do think you need to sit the guy for 3 games. And
then you play Brad Miller.
Yeah, that's who I play, because I think at this point, I think you got to send a message to the kid that it's not okay to have mental mistakes. It's not. Because I think the problem is, in today's game, we placate and we kiss these athletes' ass instead of actually telling the truth. And Joe Girardi, Nick, you said it perfectly. It's not that he's a bad manager, but he's managing bad.
Yeah.
There's a difference. He's not a bad manager, but he's not doing anything to help his team. And then he goes in and has that press conference where he lied, and then he says, I lied. I mean, this guy's a disgrace. And the Yankees got rid of him just for that reason, because he couldn't handle the media. That was the reason he got fired in New York. So it wouldn't shock me if he gets fired here either.
Well, hopefully, here's the thing about him in New York. Me and Don also talked about this. And Nick, we talked about it too. Is he actually a good manager, or did he just have a shit ton of talent?
He did. You have to manage personalities, then you're not managing.
You manage personality. Like, this is a team that has no one to come off the bench and no one to bring up. That's why he had to lie about Bryce's injury, because he's like, well, I don't have anybody else to bring up. Well, boom, that's your old GM's fault. And Dombrowski is a organization killer. He isn't a chips all in guy. He is a bye.
He might have his hands tied too, Rich. There might be, because he likes to spend. And if
that's what I mean. He's a bye guy. This isn't a situation for him.
Sure.
They don't have the roster on paper to be like, hey, we can compete for a World Series. They don't have the pitching. They don't have the hitting. Last year they did, and I don't know what happened to this year. But what I meant by that was you're not having someone who's going to come in and trade guys to get you a farm system. They have no farm system. So what are they going to do going forward in the next years? You're going to waste JT's good years left. He's probably got 2 good years left, if that. Yeah. And then Bryce is,
I know Bryce Hawks. Well, I know he has a no trade clause, but I got to be honest with you. Do you think he's going to you think he's going to want to?
I would waive it
down this road.
I guarantee
you, he will. If the Phillies continue this and they have a bad, just say the Phillies have a bad year and they finish like in last or second to last and they just shit the bed. I would not be shocked if Bryce Harper goes to them and says, "I want to trade."
But he's not the player that he was 2 years ago either. That's the problem.
Right, but
he needs to have an MVP season for him to be traded and to get some return
for him to have value, right?
Because his contract is still pretty good.
I'm not. I don't disagree with you there. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I would want to be traded too. I know.
I think at this point, I think that the Phillies' hands are tied because I think they're so. I think this team was ruined before it even started because Klentak totally neglected the farm system to the point where we have nobody. We literally have nobody. We don't even have. I mean, you look at teams like the Marlins that continually bring up guys. Every year they have top 5 prospects in baseball. Tampa Bay. Why do you think Tampa Bay is so good? It's not because they have a lot of money, because they obviously don't. They have one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. But every fucking year, I was waiting for it.
That's awesome.
I had to do it. Oh,
I got here as quick as I could, guys.
I got here as quick as I could. I didn't even take off my face mask.
No, I was the base tonight, so I just did that for you guys.
Oh,
nice.
That is
badass.
You're up.
My sleeves fell off and everything.
Oh, God.
So did Nick's after he won the Jason Kelsey impersonator show. Came in first. Yeah, Nick is actually playing center this year for the Eagles, which you guys didn't know. So.
He does look like Jason Kelsey.
I'll listen. If they want to sign me and pretend, nobody will know.
There you go.
That would be hilarious. Jason Kelsey in person. I would love it.
Real quick, Jay, before you leave, bigger waste of talent, Trout or DeGrom? Who's wasting the talent more?
That's a good question.
I would have to say Trout because I think the Mets have a shot at going far.
Mets went and spent money. They spent money, but they spent in the right places. The Angels,
I think Mike Trout.
The Angels sign players in the lineup for Trout, but they don't sign any pitching.
No.
Right.
Well, all their pitchers get hurt. So what can you do?
True.
But Jay, give us one more plug of the Sports and Metal, brother. Let us know what time you go and what day. Let us know.
Okay, so you can find us on Sports and Metal. Obviously, we're on all the major platforms: Anchor, Apple, Spotify. We record on Thursdays generally, but sometimes with work schedule, sometimes it might be a Friday, but we always record and then we release it right after we record on this live stream. So you can find us on Facebook at Sports and Metal, Twitter, Sports and Metal. We're on Instagram, Sports and Metal, and YouTube. So
nice.
Pretty much everything Sports and Metal. Just put it in, Google it, and that's where you'll find us. And I really appreciate you guys having me on. This was awesome, and I love what you guys are doing, and keep it up. And let's go. Let's go Sixers.
Yeah,
that's
all we
the only team that I'm happy about right now.
Yeah,
we'll
really.
get you.
We didn't get into the Flyers talk. We'll do that next time.
Yeah, we'll get you back on in a few weeks. We'll link up. I'll talk to you and see what days you have free. If you're home from work, dude, love to have you back on. So
I would definitely be interested. I love this stuff, man.
Awesome, dude.
Thanks,
Be
guys.
good. Have fun,
Sure, man. Take
Rock
care,
on, brother.
All right, I'll be going off. I'll be watching.
Jason, you're out of here.
Stop throwing people out of my podcast, Chip. God damn it. And then this guy. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
I'm like driving home, like watching the show. I'm like, wait, red light, comment. Wait, red light, comment.
The closer for tonight's show, Mr. Chip. What is up, dude?
What's up, people?
What's going
Brad
on?
Lidge or Billy Wagner? What close are we looking at today?
Bad baseball game I had to umpire tonight, man. It was like 15, 16-year-olds, and we got through 5.5 innings in 2.5 hours. Because again, I was the base umpire. So the home plate umpire, his strike zone was about a needle eye. So if it wasn't in that one spot, it was, and I'm over here going, oh my God, call a strike. Please call a strike. Please call a strike. That was a strike. Nope, that wasn't a strike. So it's just walk. I'm like, I got a show to do. Like, we got to go.
That's rough. We've all been there, though. We've all been there. So, Chip, tell us about yourself. Where are you from? What do you like to do? Your hobbies?
Well, thank you for asking. My name is Chip. I'm looking for a pretty blonde. Wait, that's not what we're doing here.
I'm looking for a princess.
Wait, my favorite Disney princess is my wife.
Nice.
She's watching, I hope.
Shout out to the wifey. Shout
out. So yeah, I'm Chip. I teach with Don.
You got it.
I'm a part of the All About the Birds team, and I have a podcast on Monday nights that I do with a variety of people, including most of you gentlemen. Nick, I got to get you on for one of those, man. I haven't had you on yet. I'll get you on for one of them. Called Chips and Dish, and the time varies depending on how long these ridiculous games that I do go. And then Wednesday night, I do my All About the Birds weekly report, and I pop on here and there to various random places. Besides that, I'm a Sagittarius.
Oh my God! So Chip, before you leave, you have to share your mascot story.
Oh, the one that I told half of the story, and then last night, and then you were like, "Wait, I need a follow up." All right,
yeah. So before you leave tonight.
All right, well, wait. That'll be my final thoughts. I'll be my final thoughts.
I
know your show. I know your show.
You do good. You do good. So, what do you think of how did you feel last night?
I was disappointed. I mean, the team did not play well. And you could so a lot of the people that were commenting on my show after the game were saying, well, they didn't look like they were playing together, and they weren't. Of course, they didn't look like they were playing together. Their centerpiece wasn't there. Their backup centerpiece, and notice I'm using the word center there, Dwight Howard wasn't so nobody when they planned out the game, when they practiced out the game, and they figured out how it was going to go, had Mike Scott penciled in for 17 minutes last night.
No,
so it didn't look that way. Ben Simmons wasn't on the floor to facilitate. I mean, they looked disjointed. With Embiid being now doubtful, it's a concern. And I know we talked about the next round matchup, because we are still up 3-1. The next round matchup being the Knicks or the Hawks. What it comes down to is both are easy matchups if Embiid's playing. Both are difficult matchups if he's not. Embiid is the centerpiece of this team. So it really does make or break with him. It was a disappointing game. It was horrifically officiated. And again, you're talking to the guy who just popped on your show wearing a goddamn umpire mask. It was a dog crap officiated game to the point where it wasn't safe. And that's what upset me the most. It wasn't safe to play in that game last night. And that can't happen. That can't happen at the major league level.
Yeah, and we talked, last night we talked about that, about the inconsistencies, about pick a lane and be consistent and call the game. But like Rich, you had mentioned earlier about, that I think it was his third foul when it was like 12 seconds into the quarter.
That was his fourth foul because he had 3 in the first half.
That's right.
It was yes. Like
and then he's off the floor. And
yeah.
I think that for me was the most frustrating part about the officiating piece. And we had Scotty on earlier, but we were talking about that hack-a-ben period in those last 2 minutes and how you could view it in one of two ways. You could view it in a way where you have is this the opportunity to teach Ben how to handle that environment? Or is it something that Doc Rivers maybe gets, the alternative is did Doc get out coached? Now we've all kind of come to a consensus in the conversation, right?
Yeah.
That it's more the latter, right?
For me, again, you're talking about whether or not Ben Simmons, it's an opportunity to learn. So think back at the beginning of the process. And by the way, I'm really annoyed when you made that Ish Smith comment and I said he was reprocessed. You didn't put that comment up. That was a great comment.
The sad thing, I know it was good, but then it got like something happened. I'm like, I want to put it up, but it was way too late. Big T will checking in.
No, so at the beginning of the process, when Joel Embiid was drafted and sat out a year and a half, right?
Yes.
What did he do? Because he physically couldn't run up and down the court. What did he do? He shot free throws all damn day and became a great free throw shooter.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons, when he sat out a year, he didn't do that. And if he did, he has now since forgotten. Ben Simmons is a bad free throw shooter. And you know it based on his, ready for this, NBA 2K ratings. Joel Embiid, great free throw shooter. Ben Simmons, dog crap. They're accurate. So if I'm the Wizards, you now know that it works. It is within the rules to do it. Why not make use of it? Why not make use of it?
Right.
But it's something that has to be fixed. It's got to be fixed.
You know that's something that any other team that they're going to play, is going to implement that at any point where they can. So if they see the Knicks or the Hawks or the Bucks or the Nets, that's coming. And it's going to come in crucial spots where, is that going to come in a clinching game 6 against the Nets and the Bucks?
It is.
Right. That's coming.
And if you look back when it was Shaquille O'Neal, right? Because it was originally Hack a Shaq.
Right.
You look at that, and that wasn't his game. His game was to dominate, but you had other players who could facilitate the ball. Ben Simmons being the facilitator means the ball's got to stay in his hand. Or, as we've learned, you don't even have to foul him with the ball in his hand. Ben Simmons not being able to hit a free throw. Look, Russell Westbrook, not a great free throw shooter, but he gets by because he has other skills. Ben Simmons has other skills, but when they're honing in on those skills and they're not letting him facilitate and they're keeping him off the floor for foul trouble, then he's got to step up and do something that he doesn't do well better. Last night, him missing those free throws was a problem.
Agree. Yeah. And Big T will said we would be satisfied with 1 out of 2.
Yeah.
But not in a game where you're trying to take the lead. And I think that's the problem. The problem is you need him to knock down shots in clutch times. You need him to go to the line when you're down by 2 and being able to tie the game instead of hitting 1, then missing 1, or missing 1, then hitting it. And then all of a sudden we're down 1, but now we're down 4 because they come down the court and they hit 3.
You're going to turn into that. Yeah. It's going to turn into that like over substitution thing where he comes in for defense and then there's an immediate whistle and he sits, but then he checks right back in for the next defensive series, which we used to see. And that's what you see in high school, sometimes in college. You can't see that at a professional level. You can't be an all-star and miss free throws that he has in this series. It was cute. And then it was devastating. Last night it turned devastating.
Well, it's the problem when you're playing from behind. When you're playing from behind, this is what happens.
Right.
You can't, and it's not, and there was 47 seconds in between that, in that period where they did hack a bed. So they did it in the allotted time before it got there. I hate the whole fouling off the ball. I don't like that. I don't like grabbing a guy and fouling off the ball. That's, if Ben had the ball, I'd be like, okay. But the fact that they're just going out there and just running and tackling Ben or touching, and everybody knows Steph Curry just stops dribbling and just goes, okay, I'm just going to, now let's walk down the court. Like, I hate that rule, but I mean, if it's within the rules, that's fine.
Right.
But what pissed me off last night was no one stepped up after Joe got hurt. Like I said, I'm going back to Tobias. Tobias had 4 possessions in a row where he was blocked. 4 possessions in a row where he was blocked. And then he got stripped badly. That's 5 possessions where I think they were down 3, and then they wound up going down by like the largest margin. So I think it was like 12. That shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't, and it's going to start happening more. That's the problem, is that it's going to start happening more.
But Nick, what do you think about all this?
Sort of like we said, I mean, Ben needs to step it up. I think he knows that you have to let him play through it. I mean, I just looked up Russell's free throw percentage, Chip, just because you say he's not a great free throw shooter, and he's really not career-wise. Career though, he's 79%, which is much better than Ben.
Yeah, it's
much better.
But he was an 83% free throw shooter, or 84 when he was on the Thunder. So he's gotten worse. Which usually guys when they get older they get better. It's kind of weird.
Right.
But yeah, like I don't know if they've been tweaking. Maybe Ben is really right-handed and he just doesn't want to admit that he's right-handed because his form is just ugly too. I was going to
joke and say maybe he is right-handed when it comes to shooting free throws.
Might be.
Let's not be mean to lefties.
Down 6 out of 10.
Lefties are where it's at.
I'm a lefty, but I shoot righty.
Yeah, but Rich, I'll put money on you right now in a free throw shooting contest. You will probably beat Ben
all day. I actually went and shot free throws yesterday, and I was.
Rich is actually it's weird. He was. When he played basketball, that was the thing he was the best at. He would just knock down all his free throws.
I would drive the lane and listen. I would drive the lane, being like one of the smaller guys. Nick would be a center. I would be a center on the other team. I would drive the lane, knowing I'm going to get blocked and hacked. I would get hacked. I had no chance of making a layup because of how small I was. But everybody fouled me, and I think I shot like 90%.
There you go.
One year, and that's awesome. I averaged 15 points a game. I might have got 13 of them from the foul line.
Probably
that's just what I did.
But you played your game.
That's the James Harden effect, man.
Right. Yeah. But that's the problem. You need to. Ben Simmons needs to be more efficient at the free throw line. He needs to finish stronger, but he isn't the only issue. Like
no,
we were
he's
talking
not.
About.
Tobias didn't step up.
Tobias
did nothing.
Tobias
Danny
didn't
Green,
step up.
Furkan with a chance to take the lead, wide open at the top of the key, front rims it.
And how
the fuck does that happen?
That could have swung the game all the way in their direction.
But he's still not an ace.
Yeah,
but he's still not an ace.
All right.
But he's still not.
Shut up, Chip.
My fingers were bleeding during Jason's portion. I'm like, Jason, he's not an ace. Because him and I did a whole debate, the trial of Aaron Nola. He's not an ace.
He got 2 strikeouts through 5, Rich. Tell him to step it up, dude.
He's only got 2 strikeouts through 5.
And that's all right. We got to take a hard right for a second here. I got to talk about these Phillies. Right. So here's the issue with Aaron Nola compared to Wheeler. And you want to talk about the ace of the staff, right? Wheeler is the ace of the staff. Why? Because he's dominant, and he's dominant consistently. Aaron Nola, you don't know if you're going to get 8 innings from him, if you're going to get 6 innings from him, if you're going to get 4 innings from him. You don't know, and you haven't known all season, and you haven't known last season. He is consistent in his inconsistency, and that's why he's not an ace.
Yeah.
Last year, he was really good up until he was really good up until like late August or September, and they said that when they were in that playoff hunt, they tried to go to have him start every 4th day, and they pulled up his stats. Like when he pitched on 4 days rest, his ERA was over 5, and he pitched on 5 days rest, his ERA was like under 3.3. So it's like the guy obviously can't pitch on 4 days rest, so don't do that. 1, 2, he ends up wearing down at the end of the year. That's been his problem. You know what I mean? Now,
right.
Oh, baby.
And his point here is great.
Yeah.
Right. So what about 7? What about 7? Right. Wheeler, when he starts, you can almost put money on. Well, he'll probably give you 7. Right?
Yeah.
Nola, you can't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nola,
And he's lost his velocity too. Like I was watching last time, he pitched, he was only touching like 92. So
he's not a velocity pitcher. But he's not a velocity pitcher. He's a breaking ball pitcher.
Yeah, but he still used to get up to 95, 96 when he needed to. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's
right.
May, and he still can't get up to 92 in the third. He can't get past 92 in the third inning. Like that's not a good sign for his long-term wear and tear. And he does, Rich. You know, he's got that weird arm slot.
He does have
you're putting a lot of pressure. You're putting a lot of pressure right here, man. This is a lot of pressure. He throws all elbow. So, I mean.
So, to Big T Will's point, and this is where I am going to interject this thing that Chip doesn't like called analytics. So, this is the problem. And I believe I was reading, it was from an MLB scout. And he was saying, you look at kids in college and you look at kids in high school, everybody is focused on velocity rather than control. Pitchers aren't making it past 5, 6, 7 innings because they're throwing 120 pitches because they're so inconsistent. They can't hit the strike zone, but they're throwing 102 miles an hour. So what they are missing, aka in control, they're trying to make up with velocity. Do I think it's the right principle? No. Do I think that Greg Maddux was one of the greatest pitchers because he could put a ball wherever he wanted and it moved like a wiffle ball? Yes. I'm not buying the whole, okay, he comes out and throws 100 miles an hour. Jose Alvarado comes out, throws 100 miles an hour, but you have no idea where that ball is going to go. Right. It doesn't make your pitcher I don't fear a pitcher like that. Because, okay.
That's why DeGrom's so good, Rich, because he throws 100 wherever he wants.
Yeah. But even
he throws a slider wherever he wants.
But I watched him last night, and he was still releasing high. He was throwing 100, but he only hit 100 once in the strike zone. And that's what you have to look at. You have to look at the correlation between why pitchers aren't pitching deep into games, why you're not getting, as Chip would like to say, the true ace, because the true aces back in the day threw anywhere between 90 and 95 miles an hour. Randy Johnson threw like 99, and he was an anomaly at that time in his career. And Pedro. But Pedro also wasn't an ace until he just had to turn the damn laces around and throw a fucking 4-seam.
But listen, and that's where I think DeGrom sets himself apart, is that he's able to play both sides of that coin.
Yeah.
Where he's able to throw gas, but he's able to hit spots. He's able to throw multiple pitches. But they're with everything that analytics has been implemented into baseball now, you're never going to see.
No.
You know, to speak to Big BT Will's point, like you're never going to see those guys consistently throw 8 innings, complete games. Those statistics are gone. And I think that
it's because they're taking a no-hitter or a one-hitter shutout into the 9th inning.
It's just the whole philosophy is wrong.
Right. And even then, though, the problem is that you have so many now teams where it's no-hitters by committee, right? Because they're still
openers. I love openers. Like Tampa Bay has a guy in opener.
Or like you look at the mismanagement by Girardi, right? We're in an absolute shit stomping of a game on Sunday, right? We're losing 11-1. It's the 8th inning. I don't
disagree with this point.
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's the 8th inning nowadays. Or nowadays on Sunday, they're down 11-1. And what do? It's 8 2/3. There's 2 outs. And they bring in Hector Neris for 1 out. Why? Because he needed the work. It's stupid. And now, you hear it constantly, and this kind of goes to the point of the cotton candy pitchers and the cotton candy mentality of professional baseball. You have Connor Brogdon's not available to pitch today because he threw 37 pitches.
What?
Why is he not available to pitch? Why is he not available to pitch? What? Tell me why throwing 37 pitches makes he's not available to pitch. Oh, well, his workload and shut up. Back in the 90s, and again, I love Big T Will's comment here. Back in the 90s, it was you had your 5 starters, you had a couple bullpen pieces, you had your 7th inning guy, you had your 8th inning guy, and your closer. The closer only went in closing situations.
Yes.
That was it.
Right.
You never saw Mariano Rivera go in if it was an 11-1 game.
You never saw Mariano Rivera not pitch in the 9th inning when it was close. There was he was unavailable.
Occasionally,
he was available to shut everyone down.
Occasionally, he would get the 4-out shutout. No, the 4-out save. You know, I cannot stand for the life of me the idea that these players need to be babied. And, you know, while we were out working on ground balls, you're still booting balls left and right. Segura, not a good defensive second baseman. Boom, not a good defensive third baseman. Reese, not a good defensive first baseman.
Gregorius is terrible.
Yeah.
Gregorius is having his worst season statistically defensively ever.
He doesn't have any range. You were right, Nick.
I miss Freddie Galvis. I miss watching Freddie Galvis pick everything.
Freddie Galvis. Freddie Galvis.
Galvis is doing great.
Well,
Cesar Hernandez. Nick texted us today. 2 home runs from Cesar Hernandez.
I love Cesar. I miss Cesar.
I know. So do I.
Freddie Galvis
he plays every fucking day.
I know.
Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but Freddie Galvis had a Gold Glove last year.
Yeah.
J.P. Crawford, who's another Phillies farmhand, had a Gold Glove with the Mariners last year. I think
Frank
a lot of where
everything at third base still.
Yeah.
I get it.
I think a lot of where the analytics piece comes in has to in some way is tied back to the hyper focus on playing one sport because there's so much wear and tear all year long playing one sport that they have to analytically manage these kids as they come up because they need to make sure that they're not overworked because they're playing all year long.
All year long. And for multiple teams in the spring. Like, again, my kid plays rec ball, but those rec players also play travel ball. Some of them also play for their middle schools. Like, they're playing for 3 different teams. They also play CYO. They're playing for 4 different teams. Those coaches aren't talking with each other. So this will say kid A might be on a pitch count or a pitch limit for rec ball. He can only pitch 2 innings this week. But CYO is also going to pitch him 3 innings. And middle school is also going to pitch him 5 innings. And travel is also going to pitch him 2 innings. This is why you have 14-year-olds getting Tommy John.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to get involved. I have a lot very strong opinions on all that shit because kids should. Yeah.
Fastball change. Fastball change.
That's it. Fastball change. You're 17 years old. You want to throw a curveball. You can learn in your junior year to throw.
Well, I think the whole thing, Rich, the whole thing with the velocity thing you're talking about with the pitchers throwing hard, but that goes hand in hand with the way that the hitters are taught now where strikeouts don't matter. Oh, they fucking matter. It's a wasted at bat.
Well, now they'd rather you strike out than hit into a double play.
Okay.
But if you hit the ball, at least you can move the runner.
That's what I'm saying. But if you put the ball in and Nick
things can happen.
Right,
things can happen.
I had this conversation. My dad was over earlier and he's like, motherfuckers. He's like, man, everybody's striking out. It's just bullshit. Fucking put the ball in play and see what happens. I'm like, dude, all right. I'm not saying it's not elite, but me and Nick play slow pitch softball. Put the fucking ball on the ground and see if they can make a play. It's the same thing. Hit the ball to somebody and see what they can do with it.
Especially if they're playing a team like us, we'll make a fucking error and they'll score 2
We will make an error.
If you put the ball in play, you got to do 3 things. You got to field the ball. You got to throw the ball. Someone's got to catch the ball.
Yeah.
And an umpire has to make the right call. And I can tell you that doesn't always happen. 4 things. An umpire's got to make a right call.
Actually, I hate analytics. Yeah. It's a tool, not the entire box, which is completely true.
Yeah.
But the problem with analytics is everybody wants to force it down, everything with the launch angles and the shift.
Real baseball players don't like analytics either. It's nerds that sit up, stop to get these jobs that say, well, in my Stanford studies, they show that if your launch angle is 37.2 degrees, your chances of a home run go up astronomically. Well, can he fucking hit or can he not hit? Yeah, he hits. Okay, I'm not going to mess with his swing. Why do you think Mike Trout never changed his swing? Why?
Because you hit the ball hard.
Barry Bonds never changed his swing. Why? Because it worked. Alex Rodriguez never changed his swing. Why? Because it worked.
Right? Major League, Serrano won a bat, right? He couldn't hit the curveball. Well, then fuck you, Joe Bo. I do it myself. And then he did it himself.
He did.
He didn't change his swing, though. He just kept
He didn't change his swing. He just gave up voodoo.
I'm not going to lie, guys. This has been probably one of my favorite shows. Our guests tonight, we had the boys from the Fired Up podcast, Mike and Dom. We had Scotty on from all the things that he does, all 50 million things that he does.
On.
Yeah, guys, like, yeah, I'm just gonna plug everything. I'm like, damn, Scotty, you do a lot of stuff.
Well, part of me was gonna be like, Scotty, what's your day? How do you have time for your day job?
Yeah,
you know what it is? He's got to be Professor Podcast. Like, that's got to be his new Twitter handle, Professor Podcast.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was on all that stuff. I'm like, Jesus, that's a lot of stuff. And then, of course, Jason from All About the Birds and Sports and Metal first, and All About the Birds, his contributions to you guys. And then, of course, our closer, Big Chip over here, Big Chip, Chips and Dish, All About the Birds. It's been a great time, but it does come down to that time for the final thoughts. And I am going to give this to our guest. Whatever you have, my brother, take it away.
So Don wanted me to reshare this story from last night. As probably nobody knows, I was a high school and college mascot. Shocker. No, totally surprised. And so in high school, I was the Trojan Man. Again, all your jokes, they keep them coming. No, right over everybody's head. Keep them coming. Great. Moving on.
we got it, Chip. We got it. You're just being professional. We were just.
So it's an away game against one of our arch rivals. Our basketball team at this point is making a run for the state tournament. We're ranked in the state. I think we end up finishing third in the state that year. But it's an away game. And
you didn't go to Michigan State?
No, I did not.
Oh, they're the Spartans anyway. USC.
I got you.
Trojans. Sorry.
Right. Exactly.
There we go.
So I was technically a cheerleader, right? So the cheerleaders don't travel to away games; they stay home and they cheer for the girls' team. Well, I was convinced by the offensive line of the football team that that's not what I should do that night, and I was like, "Okay, I'll do what you guys want." So they put me in a car. They put my big head in the trunk, and they hand me this bottle, and it's Gatorade, and it's delicious. But this bottle of Gatorade never got emptier, no matter how much I drank. And it's because they kept putting vodka in it.
Oh, nice.
Well, again, I was a pretty good kid. So at 17 years old, I had never drank before. And I had certainly never mascotted drunk. So we get there and it's a packed house. And at this point, I'm just like shit-eating grin, but you can't see it because I had a big head. So I'm just there under my head like, they announce the starting lineups. I walk out to center court, and there's this big M. And I look at the crowd, and I do a gigantic A-Town stomp on it. Y'all, they booed me. The rent-a-cop came and he grabbed me by my big head, and he's like, "You sit down here for the whole game, or I'm having you arrested." And again, I'm just shit-eating grin. Again, you couldn't tell. And game ends. The offensive line of my football team goes, "Listen, go into the locker room and change." So I go in there and we had won. I'm like, "Hi, guys." I changed. Now, mind you, again, I'm still carrying a big-ass head, so it's not like it was secretive. So I'm like walking out with my big-ass head. And as soon as I leave the locker room, they surround me. I'm like, "Oh, we have a pretty good offensive line. I didn't get touched." And I walk out. And then, as teenagers do, they shared the information that I had been slightly inebriated. And I am the only mascot in my school's history to then be suspended for the next game. So I had to watch a game instead of mascotting it. And that's my story of how I almost got arrested wearing a big-ass Trojan Man head. Oh. A magnum, if you will.
Keeping the crowd.
That was a hard one to follow. I'm
actually surprised you were a mascot.
Jared Clark was our mascot.
Yeah, but he was on the basketball team. It doesn't even make sense.
I know. I didn't get it either. Nick, you go with your final thoughts. I want to hear what you got.
I got nothing. The Phillies, everybody drains me, man. The Phillies just drain me, bro.
They're up 10-3.
Yesterday, I thought for sure we are gonna get a sweep, and then the Embiid thing happens. I saw somebody posted a picture of him today. Do you follow Barstool Philly, Rich?
Yes.
They posted a picture of him at a doctor's office. He was just wearing a regular knee sleeve. He looked fine. So there's hope that he's fine. But other than that, I don't even want to. I've been checking the score. They're winning. Do I care? No. Because what's going to happen is they're going to be in. You know what's going to happen? They're going to stay steady. They're going to stay close to 500 for the next month, and then they're going to do something stupid, and they're going to buy. We're going to be buyers. And what's going to happen? They're still going to miss the playoffs, and we're going to be in purgatory again for another fucking year. I'm done.
Sounds, honestly, it's exactly what
blow it up, Don. Like Don said, blow it up.
Blow it up. I mean, Rich, you've been saying that for forever.
I was on JC Horn, and blowing up the Phillies. My two claims to fame.
Back it up.
Don, what do you have, buddy?
So for me, it's been as a fan who loves going down to the games, seeing the entitlement of what fans feel like they are allowed to do in a game doesn't surprise me when the players are like, shit, it was better when nobody was around. And I don't for the life of me understand what people feel like they're entitled to when they buy that ticket. Like, it's entertainment. You're buying the ticket to be entertained. They don't give a shit about your fantasy football. They don't give a shit about your fantasy team or how, like, they're there to play a game, but it doesn't give you the right to be able to dump popcorn on somebody, spit on somebody, curse and yell racial stuff at their family.
Nope, none of it.
To throw a water bottle at some like all that stuff to me doesn't have a place in the game. Like, in what other profession would you like? Okay,
hypothetically, with a water bottle. That'd be
okay. So Rich, you have a shitty accountant, right? Do you go to the accountant's office? Do you go to Wexler and Amwadinjo, and you're like, yo, Rich, you suck as an accountant. I'm gonna grab a bunch of shit from the vending machine and start throwing shit at you.
No, like, I don't want that.
Yeah, right. That doesn't add up.
So, like, for me, like, make sure that like when you're at the game, be a fan, be passionate, cheer on your team, but don't be an asshole.
It's hard for people to do nowadays.
I know. It's fun being an asshole, Don.
Listen, come on. I know. I'm just saying, like,
it's fun to hit Russell Westbrook with popcorn.
Like, you can have you want to do your research and you want to talk about, baby mama's drama and you want to talk trash to them. I get that stuff. I don't get the throwing shit at people. That to me, like,
dude, throw a cheesesteak next time, not popcorn, bro. Come on.
My man's hungry.
Oh, dude. Popcorn? Bro, if I could something with popcorn, I'd be like, damn, bro, let me get the whole box next time I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Like, they are, listen, I get it. They shouldn't do that. But these athletes are fucking babies, too. They're all babies. Yeah. All of them. There's not one athlete that is not a baby in the league today. LeBron, biggest baby. Westbrook, crybaby. Kyrie, baby. Kyrie complained about the water bottle being thrown at him. That's after he stomped on the logo before the game and talked trash about how Boston's racist. How's the whole city racist, bro? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. If everything's racist, nothing's racist. Okay? Doesn't make sense.
It's like an oxymoron. But anyway, I am going to get with my final thoughts. I was telling Don last week, because it was just me and Don, there was a documentary I watched called Dragons or Dinosaurs.
Dude.
On Netflix or no?
It's on. It's a free show. You watched it, Don? Did you watch it? So, dude, it's on Tubi. It's a free fucking movie, right? It's a documentary, and it talks about like all the accounts of dragons throughout history of like being reported. But they also have like cave paintings, and not only cave paintings, but like in Rome and in certain civilizations that are like, not that long ago, have depictions of dinosaurs like on their walls. How the hell did they know about dinosaurs? Because I mean, we only came to know them in the late 1890s of the name dinosaur. They were perfectly proportioned, these carvings and these paintings of stegosauruses, brachiosauruses, tyrannosaurs, like a bunch of different shit. Dude, it blew my fucking mind. Watch it. You are going to it talks about how maybe this earth isn't millions of years old, that it's only a couple thousand, but a great water event happened. And that's how like all these, because has anybody found a fossil from like a few years ago? It blows your mind. So just watch it have some fun. I enjoyed it because I told Don, I'm like, you're a science teacher, Don. I'm like, can you explain this? Because I want to talk about this. And he's like, I'm going to have to watch it. And apparently he watched it. His mind was blown. But gentlemen, it was a great show. Chip, thank you.
Thanks for letting me pop on.
Yes, absolutely.
Mike, Dom, Scotty, Jason, everybody, dude. Great show. Thanks for coming on. I will be posting all your shit so everybody knows where to find you guys. Have fun. Be safe. Go Sixers.
And
go Phillies. And
Sure.
we, not you, but we, we're out.